Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to Q2 FY22 earnings conference call of HFCL Limited, hosted by ICICI Securities. On the call we have with us today Mr. Mahendra Natha, Promoter and Managing Director, Mr. V.R. Jain, Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Manoj Baid, Company Secretary, and Mr. Amit Agarwal, Head Investor Relations. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. And now hand the conference over to the management for their opening remarks. Thank you, and over to you.
Hello. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and greetings for the festive season. Thank you for making it to HFCL's earnings call for the second quarter and half year of financial year 22. The quarter 2 of financial year 22 results, press release and investor presentations are available on the website of the company and stock exchanges. Rapid vaccinations and responsible social conduct are appearing to help in the pandemic. I wish and hope that the country and the world is way past the worst. It is important still to keep the vigil up while we usher into more stable and prosperous future henceforth. For HFCL, our resilience and uncompromised focus on profitable growth, capability ramp-up, innovation and expansion of product portfolio as well as manufacturing capacity would serve well going forward. Our drive to emerge as technology-led enterprise that innovates and manufactures for the world is deepening at the right time. Digital connectivity and data security would be the twin foundations of the post-COVID world. Dense fiberization, high-speed data transmission and secure transmission network would feature among the fastest growing economic themes right through this decade and right across the globe. HFCL finds itself in the right place to actively participate in these abundant growth opportunities to maximize stakeholders' value. Going by various global estimates, India is well on course to emerge as one of the fastest growing major economies from the next fiscal year of 2022-23. I hold a firm conviction on the ensuing decade turning out to be India's decade. Opportunity landscape is brimming with better prospects and we are entering into the golden phase of sustained economic growth. HFCL's opportunity landscape appears even much brighter. BharatNet Phase 2, explosive FTTH demand growth, additional 4G spectrum allocations to telcos, 5 MHz 4G spectrum approval to Indian Railways, and subsequent rollout of 5G, PLI scheme for telecom and networking products, government's initiative in procuring indigenously developed defense products backed by Atmanirbhar Bharat and Make in India program are all going to propel HFCL into its next orbit in the coming quarters. The Bharat Broadband Network Limited has invited bids for implementations in PPP mode to roll out high-speed broadband services in the rural areas across 16 states. This network is projected to have demand of approximately 12 lakh kilometers of fiber optic cable, comprising of both overhead and underground cables. This massive demand of fiber optic cable, coupled with the demand of associated transport and access equipment like Wi-Fi and optical access equipment, presents tremendous business opportunity for the company, both in equipment and project segment. And currently, India has a fiber-based network spanning across 28 lakh fiber kilometers, cable kilometers, as against the target set up by the National Broadband Mission, deploy as much as 50 lakh kilometers of cable by 2024. The recent allocation of additional spectrum for 4G wireless services to telcos will benefit HFCL with added demand for fiber optic cable and also turnkey projects. Union Cabinet approving 5 MHz 4G spectrum for Indian Railways in the month of June 2021 presents another huge opportunity for us. The project targeted to be completed in 5 years is estimated to cost over 25,000 crores. The project entails to provide secure voice, video, as well as data services for operational safety and security applications for the national transporters network. The 4G long-term evolution specific system to railways will be used for modernizing signaling and ensuring train protection while also maintaining constant communication between loco pilots and guards. We see a huge opportunity from this modernization campaign of the Indian Railways. As we all know, trial spectrum for 5G has already been allotted to the telecom operators. Auction for commercial use of 5G spectrum is expected to happen in the beginning of 2022. Rollout of 5G networks will result in massive increase in demand of fiber optic cable, in addition to the related radio access network and other required equipment. This again presents an excellent market opportunity for the company. The company will be present in a large number of equipment and services segments required for 5G networks. 5G network implementation presents a very attractive opportunity for the company, both in domestic and international markets. We have one of the largest capacities of manufacturing fiber optic cables, which will see huge upsurge in demand when 5G networks are implemented. We have started the radio access networks both for macro cells and small cells, which will be required in very large numbers. We are in process of developing transport network equipment like routers and front-door gateways, which are also required for 5G networks in large capacity. In order to capitalize these opportunities, it is imperative for HFCL to keep pace with capacity and capability buildup. We have made significant strides towards advancement of technological and R&D capabilities and ramped up our manufacturing capacities across our optical fiber and cable business. Upon completion of our ongoing capex, the existing capacities of optical fiber cables and FTTH cables shall increase by 20% to 25%, and new capacity would also add new types of cables like microduct, micromodule, advanced ribbon cable, among others. Our newly commissioned R&D center in Bengaluru is shaping up well. This is our dedicated R&D center for 5G products and Wi-Fi products. When we remain committed to steadily invest in R&D capabilities, innovate and remain nimble to capture the opportunities ahead. The PLI scheme has been introduced at the most appropriate time. The scheme will go a long way to make our country a global hub for telecom innovation. HFCL, through its wholly owned subsidiary HFCL Technologies Limited, has also submitted its application under PLI scheme. We continue to consciously evolve our revenue mix towards enhanced share of margin accretive products and capital efficient projects. As of 30th September 2021, our consolidated order book stood at rupees 5,822 crores. New orders of fiber optic cables and equipment are being received regularly by the company. Last week, we have received order worth 287.96 crores from RailTel Corporation of India to set up a secured network for Indian Air Force. The Board of Directors of your company have approved fundraising of up to rupees 750 crores on 3rd September 2021, which was also approved by the shareholders at the annual general meeting held on 30th September 2021. We are happy to share that Informix Valuation and Rating Private Limited, RBI and SEBI registered credit rating agency, has assigned A rating and with stable outlook for long-term and A1 for short-term banking facilities for the company. Existing credit ratings by CARE Rating stands at A negative for a long-term bank facilities and A2 for short-term bank facilities. The board has approved the allotment of 49,34,300 equity shares having face value rupees 1 each to HFCL Employees Trust on 15th July 2021 for implementing the benefits of HFCL Employees Long-Term Incentive Plan 2017 in lieu of the vested ESOP granted to the eligible employees of the company. Friends, let me now brief you on key performance metrics of the quarter and the half year. Revenue for quarter 2 of financial year 22 stood at 1122.05 crores as compared to rupees 1054.32 crores in quarter 2 of FY21, thus recording a year-on-year growth of 6.42%. EBITDA for the quarter stood at 173.20 crores as compared to 137.47 crores in quarter 2 of FY21. EBITDA margin increased by 240 basis points and stands at 15.44% for quarter 2 of financial year 22. For quarter 2 of financial year 22, profit after tax rose to rupees 85.94 crores as compared to 53.32 crores of quarter 2 of financial year 21, recording a growth of 61.18%. PAT margin also improved by 260 basis points to 7.66% in quarter 2 financial year 22 as compared to 5.06% in quarter 2 of FY21. For the half year ended on 30th September 2021, the company reported consolidated revenue 2,328.92 crores as against 1,754.10 crores in September 2020. EBITDA of 360.74 crores as against 220 crores in September 2020. Profit before tax in this half year stood at 239.29 crores as against 104.60 crores in the half year ended in September 2020. And profit after tax stood at 176.63 crores as against only 74.60 crores in half year ended in September 2020. Segmented revenue for telecom products during the quarter under review stood at 503.92 crores as compared to 278.86 crores in the quarter 2 of financial year 21, which is a significant increase from revenue of products. We expect revenue from products business to continue this uptrend. Our performance reflects sustained growth and strengthening of our value proposition that we have achieved over the last few years. Looking ahead, our constant focus on innovation, steady expansion of our product bouquet, shift to margin accretive product mix, alignment of our offering with the emerging and future market opportunities, deepening of our market engagement in export geographies, added contributions from our under-development capacities, and pursuit of new products and opportunities by our recently constituted dedicated 5G division shall keep fueling our journey towards sustained growth and profitability. Friends, we remain focused to achieve the targets we have set for next few years and remain confident on our growth momentum ahead. Thank you once again for your keen participation and wish you good health. With this, I conclude my opening remarks and open the floor for Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and two. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Participants, you may press star and one to ask a question. The first question is from the line of Hardik from ET Now. Please go ahead.
Good morning, sir. My questions were pertaining to services as a whole. How we have seen the contributions from services absolutely has gone down in this quarter from roughly 750 crores in the last quarter and the last year of the same quarter to about 600 odd crores this time. So, of course, the product contribution in the total revenue also has gone up as we had guided in the previous quarter's con call. But when do we see absolute growth also in services going forward? And is it directly linked to the 5G rollout and So how do we go ahead from here on the services front?
Thank you for the question, Hardik. Basically, as I've stated in my previous calls, our focus is in growth of revenue by products, not as much by services. Reason being, services payments are little elongated, put stress on working capital. So our strategy is to increase revenue by products, and which you have seen constantly. If you look at the whole year ended on 31st March 2021, the product revenue was 27% and services revenue was 73%.
Yes.
Now it is 45% for products, 55% of services, which has been my assurance to all of you that we will reach to 45-55 in the current year, and we are on course to maintaining that. Now, services revenue, of course, I am not saying no to services revenue if the payments are in time. So, if, for example, BharatNet comes in PPP mode and it is implemented by reputed operators or companies where the payments are good, or 5G implementation starts where services are required and high-end value-added services are required, we are not averse to that. We would definitely go for that. But my key consideration in that would be that it should not be linked to some performance by the customer and then it is linked to a milestone which is dependent on customer performance. And if the customer performance is delayed, then my revenue and my payment is delayed. I don't want to go into that kind of a situation. If it is a simple services revenue not linked to any customer-related milestone, we would be very happy to do that, and we are not averse to increasing revenue from services if that happens.
Okay. So this quarter we did about 600 odd crores in services. So are we likely to go back to 750-800 crores per quarter kind of service revenue, or this is
I won't predict that, Hardik, at this point of time. But yes, we would like to maintain the balance at 45 for products and 55 for services at this point of time. But yes, if the good services contracts are available, we are not averse to that.
Okay. So on the product front, I had a couple of questions pertaining to our facility coming up for optic fiber and fiber to the home. When are we likely to see production coming on stream and realizing revenues out of that?
Yeah, I think you are talking about expansion of capacities because
yes,
are already there, and fiber for example, we are producing 8 million fiber kilometer per annum, which is slated to go up to 10 million. And this could happen within this financial year. Before March, it would start. It is already under implementation. Machine orders have been placed. Now the delivery work and all that are going to start pretty soon. And before end of this financial year, maybe February or so, would be starting production from the enhanced 2 million additional capacity. In terms of cable, part of that facility has already been commenced. It is under production. And the completion would happen maybe under 2 months time frame. It would be completely under production. And we have targeted our revenues also from that facility and which we will be able to achieve. So it is partially complete. Production is already on. Completion would be another couple of months time.
Okay. So my last question on the product front, could you throw some light on the software-defined radio and ground surveillance radar for us? The opportunity is huge, but how soon do we feel that, okay, this will realize into certain amount of revenues or a timeline for that?
Look, in our revenue targets of the next financial year, we have not included any revenue from SDR or ground surveillance radars because SDR development is going to be finished sometime mid of the next year, sometime mid of the next financial year. I would say something like August, September time frame. And then it would go through the qualification process of Army, which, as you know, takes a pretty long time. So we are not looking at any revenue from software-defined radio or radar in the next financial year. We will be looking for revenue from them in the year next, which is 23-24, not in 22-23.
Will you be able to quantify the kind of revenue we might get in 23-24 from these two?
It is very difficult to predict that kind of a revenue, but because the demand is very significant, I think we should be able to get reasonably good revenue and should be somewhere in 3 figures, but exact number I am not able to say at this point of time. It would depend upon kind of tenders come from Army, time frame they take in finalizing those tenders. I would not predict, but one thing I can say, SDR, that is software defined radio, has a huge opportunity. Majority part of Indian armed forces network is going to be shifted to SDR because of its high technology, high encryption, and less vulnerability to intrusion, these qualities. The demand is going to be massive in next 5-6 years. So we expect to get a reasonable market share out of that. And it is our own development. It is Indian designed, Indian developed, it is Indian manufactured it is going to be. And that's the way the requirement of Army is. And we are one of the shortlisted companies. So I have very high expectations from this product, which is under development though.
And so the same thing with optoelectronics as well for the Army?
For Army, we are not doing any optoelectronics. This is, okay, we are talking about night vision devices.
Night vision devices.
Sorry, optoelectronics, I got confused, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Electro-optics, we have already started. Some small orders are under process to being received by us. It's not very big, but still it's a good beginning. More tenders we have participated, and those tenders are under evaluation. In fact, one of the tenders, which is very reasonably large one, we are submitting samples by I think another week or 10 days. We are submitting samples for the final evaluation by Army. Couple of more tenders we have participated where samples will be submitted soon. Number of more tenders are in process where we will be participating. So optoelectronics, night vision devices, yes, that process has already started. And for manufacturing this, we are going to build up a facility in Hyderabad, which I have already informed to all my shareholders in past. And land for that facility has already been allotted. And possibly construction activities will start in another 2 weeks' time. Construction activity will start, and it is expected that that facility would cost us 40 to 50 crores. And it is going to be for two things, one for optoelectronics and second for electronic fuses. In future, we might add more products out there.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, sir, and all the best for the future.
Thank you, Hardik, for your very good question. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Participants, you may press star and 1 to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Shivam Saxena from ICICI Bank Limited. Please go ahead.
Good morning, sir. My question is on what is your view on OS optical fiber prices? What are they currently, and what is your view it is going to, because it's a global commodity. So what is your view on global optical fiber prices, and what are the prices right now?
Look, in our Q2, I can give you a number. It was average procurement price was about 267 rupees per kilometer. Okay? Now it has come considerably.
In case you can give in dollar per SKM, if you can give.
Dollars I can't give you. $267 you can divide by 75. Okay. Dollar rupees keeps on changing. I take the price which is reaching to my factory. But anyway, I can divide quickly. This is factory reaching price, so we have to divide by that duty and all that.
Roughly, I think it was $2.5. I think $2.5.
More than that.
Yeah, $3.5 per FKM.
And all that. So it's at 267 rupees. Okay.
Okay.
Now it is increasing. There is an increasing trend. I would say now this would go up more than 300 rupees. Right now it is $3.5. If you take it, I think you have to do the multiplication. But this 267, which is the cost right now, I expect it to go up to 300 very, very soon. Because a large tender has come up in China, which is going to be opened up on 14th of this month, 114 million fiber kilometers. 114 million fiber kilometers. So I think there will be upswing in the trend of the fiber prices. And it may settle around something like 330 to 350.
Okay.
This is I'm talking inclusive of all duties and everything delivered in my factory.
Okay. And what has been the all-time high of this fiber prices?
No, this is not all-time high. All-time high.
What has been the all-time high? What in the past?
$8 or $9. All-time high has been much higher.
Okay. So you don't see going to that level, right?
No, not at all. I think 350 is the maximum it would settle.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Participants, you may press star and one to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Nirav Dalal from Maybank Kim Securities. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. A few questions from my end. One is, now that we are seeing the telecom products business pick up, what would be our exports, say, in the first half of this year? I think last year they were at about 200 crores. So what would be the exports? That is my first question. And of the order book, is it possible to split it between telecom products and turnkey projects? And if we could also share what has been the YOY increase in the two numbers.
Okay. In terms of export, Nirav, this first half of this current year, our export is 171 crores.
Okay.
First half of the last year, it was only 63 crores. 63 crores has become 171 crores. Now, the full year last year, it was 201 crores.
Correct.
And now this year, in half year itself, 171. So we expect to reach to at least 300 crores in the current year, at least 300 crores, we should be able to reach.
Okay.
And the target, I have defined two targets for the company, very important. One, increase revenue from products and homegrown products, which are designed by us, developed by us, manufactured by us, which will give higher margin. Second, exports. So new products, new geographies. This is the mantra I have in my company now. Now, to increase export, we are taking several steps, and these have shown results. For example, 200 crore will become 300 crore this year. For the team, I have set up much higher targets for the next year. I have set a target of 500 crores for the team for the next year, the introduction of new products, and maybe much higher targets in the years to come. Now, targets are set, but we have to take appropriate steps to make sure that those targets are achieved. What are we doing in that respect? One, as I have told previously, we have appointed people in different countries to sell our products, France, Germany, England, Middle East. We are employing now more people to sell. These are the fiber optic cables. Now we are employing people to sell telecom products because, technologies are completely different, so you need different kind of people. So we have already shortlisted 2 people for selling our products in Europe and a couple of other countries, Middle East and, Africa. So we are strengthening our sales force for selling products even before the products. Most of the products are yet to come in the product line. They would come gradually from now to another 1 year. But we are already strengthening our sales force, creating our sales team all over the world by people or by agents or by distributors who would be selling our products. And these people who are being recruited, some of them are specialized in distribution network through distributors and agents. So that's what we are doing right now to increase our export sales. So one is innovation, new products. Number 2, not only sales in India, but sales worldwide. And both the things, as I had committed to shareholders number of times. One, my revenue from products would increase, which you have seen it has increased. Second, my revenue from export would increase, which is increasing. So our strategy, which we have decided, we are on the right path to implement that strategy. In terms of order book from you said product and services, the product order book would be, let me tell you one thing. Sorry. Product orders are never received in bulk. They are received in a constant fashion. They are kept on being received all the time. Fiber optic cable, some may receive 50 crore order, 30 crore order, 60 crore order. Those are the kind of orders you receive. In turnkey contracts, you receive orders, a single large order. So you would find there would always be a contradiction in terms of revenue and order book in terms of product and services, because service orders are received in large quantity at one go. Product orders are kept on being received, small pieces one after another. So currently, the order book for products would be about 15 to 17%, and rest would be the services. But that doesn't mean the revenue would be in that percentage. Revenue we are expecting to maintain a 45-55 ratio, which we have done in this quarter.
Sir, thank you for that. Just on the exports now, so if I were to look at of your 800, 900 crores of revenue now, already 171 crores is exports. What is there a regional mix, that broad regional mix that you can share? And what are the the other part is all of these exports would be optical, right? And what would be your ASP on the cable side in these orders? A broad number would be fine.
You said what would be our USP?
No. The average selling price.
Oh, yes, average selling price. Okay.
Yeah.
So first of all, in terms of
Regional
breakup of revenue, it is about 147 crores from optical fiber cable, and it is mostly centered on Europe and Middle East. Europe and Middle East, these would be the larger contributors to our export of optical fiber cable.
Okay.
And rest is revenue about 24-25 crores would be from railway projects which we are implementing in Mauritius and Bangladesh. So these would be the two revenue breakups of products and service, telecom products as well as this optical fiber cable. Now realization in terms of per fiber kilometer, I would say it would be around 1100 rupees per fiber kilometer approximately. So I don't have a right number at this moment, but it would be somewhere around 1100 rupees per fiber kilometer would be the average realization from export revenue for cable.
Okay, so that is about $14.5, $15. So that is good.
Yeah, whatever it comes to 1100.
Okay. And it would be correct to assume that obviously exports would have a better margins than domestic products.
I can't generalize that. Some of the domestic market products have also good margins, some of the domestic sales. But yeah, generally you can say export would be a bit better, generally on an average.
Got that. And secondly, in terms of what is the status in terms of the PLI scheme and in terms of fundraise, what is the time period you're looking at for the fundraise?
Look, as far as PLI scheme is concerned, we are informed by DOT officially that 14th minister is going to inaugurate that scheme by announcing the names and all that. Since we have been informed officially to be present there, I'm sure we must be one of them to be recipient of the PLI.
Correct.
Officially asked to be present there. So I'm sure there must be some good reason for us to be present there.
Correct.
So that is one. As far as the fundraising is concerned, though board has approved, shareholders have approved, but we are looking at various options, options and timings. Whenever we finalize that, we will be coming back to you.
Got that. Thanks a lot, sir, for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Saket Kapoor from Kapoor & Company. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, hello, Saket ji.
Namaskar, sir.
Namaskar.
Sir, first is capital work in progress part, if you could explain, sir, what is it attributable and how much more is it going to increase?
Saket ji, there was some noise when you were speaking. Can you repeat your question?
So what I'll do that, sir, I'll come in the queue, sir. There is some noise there. Please, I ask the moderator to just send me 2-3 speaker के बाद डाल दीजिए, मैं दोबारा से
बोला आवाज आ रहा है ठीक आपका?
हाँ, नहीं सर, बैकग्राउंड में कुछ आवाज हो रही है, so that I cannot escape. I'll come in the queue.
Thank you very much. The next question is from the line of Sudesh Kumar from HFCL Limited. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Go ahead, sir. You're audible.
Hello, Jai Jinendra.
Yeah, please
Hello.
go ahead.
Yeah, in the last con call you have said that the chip and semiconductor shortages will be resolved by your Qualcomm partner. Has that been done?
Suresh, can you repeat it? Your voice was very, kind of a sounding hollow, couldn't understand the question.
Just in the last con call you have said that the semiconductor and chip shortages related to the product has been will be solved in this quarter. Has that been solved?
Okay. No. The semiconductor shortage worldwide still continues. It has not been sorted out. Worldwide, everybody is suffering from that problem as much as us. The current quarter, which is under review, the product revenue could have been higher had it not been that the global shortage of chipsets, which is hampering increase in revenue from products like Wi-Fi and this radios, as well as also the switches. So unfortunately, the shortage continues, and I don't think it will be resolved at least for another 3 to 6 months.
Okay. And the balance pledge quantity, by when can we see that increase?
All other banks have approved except one. The other bank, this one bank was to have a meeting on this last week, which could not happen. I hope they will be having this meeting next 8 to 10 days. So let us wait for that.
Okay. And one more last question. Since the product revenue has increased, but margin Q1 and Q2 is less, any reason?
There may be small variation. There is small variation because of different turnkey projects may have a different kind of a revenue mix and different, profitability. So it's a very slight variation, which can always happen from quarter to quarter.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thanks. All the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Yash Sarda from Daiwa Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, sir. So my question is regarding the new facility. You earlier mentioned that the construction is set to begin in 2 weeks. So what is the timeline we are looking at for the completion of the facility? And what is the peak revenue?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. And what is the peak revenue which you are expecting from the new facility once at full utilization capacity, maybe say 90 to 95%?
Look, this facility construction is going to start in about a couple of weeks. I think it would be about 8 to 9 months it will take to complete this facility. And since this is a defense product facility, I wouldn't really say that how much revenue we can get. That would be a little bit of a forward-looking statement. But yes, defense products, electro-optic, software-defined radio, we believe that looking at the demand of those equipment, which is very reasonably good demand, we will be able to get a reasonable market share and return on equity, on return on capital and investment, revenue compared to investment would be significantly good.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I had. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Shivam Saxena from ICICI Bank. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for taking my question again. Two questions. One, whether the margins are better in services or in products? One is this, and another is, are you competing in exports with Chinese competitors like Huawei and ZTE for these achieving the products? Are you competing with them and Tejas in Indian company?
Look, first of all, margin in terms of revenue in product and services, generally I would say product revenue margin would be better, generally. But then there are some service contracts that margin could be good also, in some cases. But generally, yes, product margin would be better, particularly when you have own design and own manufactured products. That is generally, I would say, that statement I would make, number one. Number two, in terms of exports, as I said, our export predominantly has been optical fiber cable in the last quarter or the half year. And in optical fiber cable, there is no Huawei or ZTE. They don't do optical fiber cable. They are mostly in the equipment business. Equipment business, we are right now supplying in India. Export, as I said, we are creating export infrastructure and we would start exporting of those products in next 2 months time frame. So at that time, we would compete with them, but I don't have a problem. The products which we are going to manufacture or we are manufacturing like Wi-Fi or unlicensed band radios and the products which are going to manufacture routers, switches, 5G, small cells, large cells, they have a huge market, billions of dollars. So even if there is Huawei, ZTE or any other company, the required market share which we are expecting for ourselves, it should be pretty easy to get, And we would be cost competitive. For example, in fiber optic cable, though there may not be Huawei or ZTE, but there are other large Chinese companies YOFC, Hangtong, ZTT, Fiber Home. Those companies are there, and we are effectively competing against them wherever we are. Sometimes you lose, sometimes you win. But we are able to compete and we are able to get our business. As you have seen, we have increased our business. So we would be able to compete effectively.
So within products, how much proportion of the revenue you expect from OFC and how much from other equipment going forward 1 to 2 years down the line? If you, what is your target?
3 years down the line, I would say, because one has to give a market development time frame also. It would be probably, I would say, 60-40 from cable and products, something like 60-40. This may change to 50-50 also, but maybe 60-40.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Deepak Mehta, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, Deepak.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you, Deepak.
Sir, my question is around the 5G strategy. If you can throw some light, what's the recent development in this quarter, sir?
Look, 5G, our strategy is simple. We want to develop equipment which are required for 5G network, which includes, as I said, 5G small cells, which are under development, 5G small cells, so indoor and outdoor both applications. Then 5G macro cell, which is also under development for different capacities, 8x8, 16x16, which will be followed by 32x32. When I say all this, this refers to RF chain, how many RF chain one radio has. So one is the radio access networks of 5G. Second, you require front haul gateways, sort of a small routers. Then the large routers, switches. They are all 5G related products which will be required in large quantity in the 5G network. So we are designing those equipments by ourselves, and we will be selling not only in India but worldwide, export market also, for which we have already started our market development activities. Now, our development would coincide with the launch of 5G networks in India. So first you have to sell in your country, then you sell worldwide, because you have to prove yourself in your country first. So which you will be doing in India, and then we will be selling worldwide also. So that is our strategy for our 5G business, develop products in time to be able to catch up with the market in India and then sell worldwide.
Okay, sir. Sir, I wanted to ask about the R&D. So how you are hiring the right talent, and how is the direction of R&D, and when you can see significant, delivery from the R&D investment. So that was the main reason for asking the question.
But look, if you have to succeed, you have to innovate. Unless you innovate, you don't succeed.
Right.
This is what is the mantra of success in technology business. We are innovating constantly in two areas, cable and telecom products both. For cable also R&D is important. So what we are doing, recruiting some talent internationally also, who have got excellent expertise in development of new kind of cables which are more for export market. So we are recruiting people for that. We have already shortlisted the person for that, very highly experienced person. So we will be bringing him on board very soon. Then, of course, same point of time, whatever new products we develop in cable, we have to have matching machinery here to produce those products, which we will also be doing. On the other hand, R&D would be equipment. Equipment, as I told many number of times, we have three-pronged approach. One, our own R&D facilities, which is Bangalore and also Gurugram in near Delhi. Then we have a partnership R&Ds, where not partnership, contract R&Ds by companies which are specializing in contract R&D. We have given contracts to them where we have a joint teams, our team, their team working on development of products for us, wherein IPR will belong to us. It's a contract development, IPR will belong to us, and then my team will take it over and keep on developing that product, making it better and better from cost perspective, feature perspective. It will continue. Then the third way is we have taken equity in companies who are designing products for us, like software-defined radio. That's equity. We have taken 50% equity in a company called Big Cat Wireless in Chennai that is developing software-defined radio for us. So three-pronged approach: own R&D facilities, contract R&D with others, joint teams working. Third, we have equity in companies who are designing products for us. This is the three-pronged approach we have taken. Now, recruitment of people, yes, we are finding talent. It's a bit difficult to find talent in R&D than the normal production lines and normal functional areas. But yes, we are still able to find good people, which is a mixture of very experienced people and freshers. We are taking a lot of freshers also. Recently, we have hired almost 30 freshers in our Bangalore R&D center, and they are being trained appropriately by experienced people, and they would come up good. They are coming out good. So this is how we are looking at R&D and increasing our R&D facility and people.
Thank you so much for the updates.
Thank you very much. The next question is from the line of A.N. Sharma, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
So thank you for the opportunity. I just want to know, when we are shifting our focus from service to product, what is the market size we are targeting, and what will be the margin in that area?
Market size for products, once you are marketing not only India but worldwide, it's billions and billions of dollars, because 4G networks are getting expanded, fiber to home networks are getting created, 5G networks are coming huge number of networks are coming up in 5G. So market opportunity in overall cable and the equipment area which we are looking at is billions of dollars. There is no dearth of market. So only a question is how many countries you go in, select those countries, go in and build up depth in your marketing infrastructure there, sales infrastructure there, and sell it. Because you can't be selling in 180 countries. You will be selling probably 10 or 15 countries with depth marketing infrastructure, sales infrastructure, after sales service infrastructure, and get your revenue, and which we should be able to do comfortably.
And sir, what about when we are coming with 5G products and we are targeting the local market or international market for the 5G products, what kind of pricing power do we enjoy in that? And what will be the market size for this product?
What sort of marketing power? That was your question? What did you say?
Power. I said, what kind of the pricing power we would be having for the 5G products in the local market as well as in international market? And what is the market?
Pricing power, the question is, we are doing our own design and doing the latest design based on the latest components. So we believe, in terms of pricing, we should be competitive with others. We should be competitive with other people. There's no doubt about that. And then, of course, our PLI scheme and those incentives which are being given by government adds to our competitiveness, no doubt about that. So, innovative designs, low GM cost, low overheads. Being a company located in India and manufacturing in India, our overheads are low. PLI scheme would benefit us to 5 to 6% of revenue, which is what the PLI we are going to receive. These all would make us competitive, and we would be as competitive as anybody else with our own design, own manufacturing based on latest technology, latest components. There is no doubt that we will be very competitive. In terms of size, again I say, size of the market is billions of dollars. There is no dearth of the market. It's only how many countries you can sell with what kind of depth in your sales infrastructure and your after-sales service infrastructure. So market opportunity is huge. The kind of sales we are targeting numbers would be 0.00 some % of the overall market size.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ankit Pandey from Quant Money Managers. Please go ahead.
Hi, thanks for taking my question. Sir, could you talk a little bit about your trade receivables? A good 400 crore improvement since March. So could you talk about BSNL and other key projects? We had a recent commencement in metros in Uttar Pradesh for a couple of cities. So could you just talk about that?
Yeah, Ankit, thanks a lot. If you look at our trade receivables, it has gone down. In the Q1 of financial year 21, this current financial year, our receivable was 3,053 crores. Now it has become 2,664 crores. There is a reduction of about 350 crores or so. In the current month and the next month, these 2 months we are expecting to receive about 400 crores more from different customers as terms of receivable. 400 plus, I would say 400 plus. So in next quarter you will see the further decrease in the receivables from our various customers. Major portion of receivables is from the defense contracts, which I have been mentioning, that those are turnkey contracts and milestone-based payments are there, and milestone completion got delayed because of problems of non-completion of infrastructure by customers, not because of us. As a result of that, revenue got delayed, and also whenever revenues, we supplied goods, but infrastructure not being complete, our payment were not received. But that situation is now. We have started gone into a situation where their infrastructure also getting completed, because now they are also realizing that they need this kind of network very fast. So, though it has gone down by 300 crores, I think we'll be receiving payments worth another 400 crores from these projects in the next month, current month, and it will further go down. So the situation is improving, and it will keep on improving further. By March year end, you will find it has improved further considerably. Cash flows of the companies have also eased out. Free cash flows are becoming better, and it will keep on becoming better quarter to quarter.
Okay, amongst so this extra 400 crore that we are supposed to receive, is that all coming from projects, or is some of that also from the products?
So this 400 crore I talked for the projects only. So that is not the entire revenue. Cable business and all that revenue is completely separate. This particular 400 I talked, it is from the projects.
And I noticed that with this 400 crore reduction, our payables have also reduced by a good 350 CR. So that kind of proportion will continue, or do we expect to net a lot more this time?
It will go in tandem. There would be increased cash flow, but yes, receivable will, money would be received and would be paid to the creditors also.
Paid also.
But free cash flows would also be there.
Okay. Probably in that proportion where we have to pay down about 300.
Absolutely. So this would, ease out our balance sheet quite a bit in terms of higher receivable from the customers, higher money realized and paid to the creditors also.
Okay, that's really good to hear. And in our order book, you mentioned that under 20% would be from projects so far. Amongst the remaining, how much is government order book, and how much is export order book, if you could give from excluding projects?
Of the order book, 20% is from products. Sorry, I said about 15% is from products and 85% is from projects. Product revenue, one should not get misled because of 15 and 85, because product orders keep being kept on receiver small bits and pieces all the time, it flows on an almost daily basis. So product revenue would be around 45%, whereas order book is only 15% because they kept on being received small pieces every day. Now coming to the breakup of order book, in terms of, I would say, domestic order would be about 5,750 crores. Export order would be around 100 crores right now. Again, export order, as I said, it's only for products. They kept on being received in small pieces. And total export current year, would be around 300 crores as against 200 crores last year. In terms of different projects which we have order booked, about 2,500 crore is from Geo, about 2,500 crore is from defense, 1,000 crore is from about Geo. Then you have various orders from railways and telecom projects and all that. So total order book is about 5,822 crores. Right. In terms of further breakup, government and non-government, out of 5,822 crores, 46% is from government, 3,157 crores is non-government.
Okay. Thanks for that. That was very helpful. And just on that, do you think the Geo sort of order book or the pace of their orders. Would you like to put a little bit of color on it? Do you think it is as expectations, or do you think it's faster than expected given the recent change in the landscape?
It is as expectation. If I tell you the current order book,
right,
about 21% of my order book is from Geo and 79% is non-Geo. And it is expected to continue in the same manner.
Okay. Lovely. Great. Thank you so much for all the details, and all the very best to you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. The next question is from the line of Vishnu KG from JM Financial Service. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. So there's a small clarification. So when you say that you have engaged people in Europe and Middle East for sale of products, are they more like third-party organizations who would act as resellers to our products?
No, we have our own people also. We have our own people, and there are resellers also. So our own people will talk to the operators directly and also manage the resellers also. There are distributors, of course, and there are our own people also.
Okay, sir. So should it be fair to assume that we would have a 50% kind of mix between resellers and products, at least in the near to medium term, till we scale it?
Not necessarily. We can't put a figure like that because it keeps on being changed. If you receive a large order from an operator, this percentage will change. If you receive more orders from a distributor, this percentage will change. Right now, we cannot put a percentage to that.
Sure, sir. Thanks. Just a small follow-up there. So, is it fair to assume that the margin profile in our direct selling would be slightly higher than the reseller part?
No, I don't say that. It can again vary from customer to customer, order to order, and situation to situation, what kind of competition and what kind of cable, it can always change. We cannot generalize that.
Okay, sir. Sure. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Saket Kapoor from Kapoor & Company. Please go ahead.
Dhanyavad, sir. Thank you for giving me the second chance. Sir, firstly, when you were, it is really very heartening that the receivables have come down. Sir, if you could give us the breakup between the receivables which are older than 60 days and lower than 60 days of the total mix, or in any proportion which you have.
I don't have breakup right now. Right now, I don't have breakup. But if you send me your email address, I can send you that reply. Right now, I don't have that breakup, of course.
Okay. I was just looking at the aging part. And now, sir, secondly, towards the order book part, sir, how much is towards the operation and maintenance proportion, sir? And when is that going to kick into the numbers, sir?
It is already kicking in small bits and pieces. Of the total 5822, I think this would be about 1,500 crores to the O&M, and rest would be the orders.
Okay. And sir, for this quarter and for the 6 months, what should be the breakup from the OEM out of the total revenue which we have booked? And it is clubbed under which segment?
In the current year, I can say it would be about 100 crores of an O&M revenue would be in the current year.
For the entire year, sir?
For the entire year.
Entire year. Sir, when will that be a bulky figure? So, अगर अपना 1,500 crore का total position है, so when will that warranty period get over and the OEM will start?
Year 24-25. That will be the year where we are expecting a O&M revenue of 300 crore plus, 350 crores about.
Okay. Sir, currently, sir, what are the industry's challenges and what are the challenges for HFCL, sir, which you are adhering to, and what steps are you taking to mitigate the same, sir?
Look, industry challenges, of course, any industry always have some challenges, which is industry. When I talk of industry, I am talking from the operator's perspective. They have ROW issues, they have spectrum issues, they have various government litigation issues, which are the part of the business and which continue all the while. From the manufacturers like us, issues would be semiconductor issues right now. There is a short supply of semiconductors. If there are issues with the operators in terms of their rollout, ROW, those challenges we have to also face. But those challenges we keep on mitigating. Those are day-to-day issues. Now, semiconductors, it just happened all of a sudden all over the world. We can hardly do anything much to mitigate that. That the worldwide supply has to improve. Then only that would be mitigated. But all the time what we do, whoever are our suppliers, we keep on pushing them every now and then to supply more to us. But they get that kind of push from everybody. So this semiconductor supply, that worldwide that has to improve, then only that would get mitigated. Otherwise, normal challenges, issues of maintenance of quality, timely supply, logistics, we keep on facing and we keep on mitigating those challenges. Now, in terms of innovation, of course, that always remains a major challenge, that you have to be at par with technology. So as I said, fiber optic cable, we are innovating. We have recruited even international people. We are in process of recruitment of them to have a higher ability to innovate new kind of cable design. Similarly, we are tying up with R&D houses, international R&D houses, to design our products, telecom products. Simultaneously, we are creating our own R&D team of highly qualified people, and of course the newcomers also, to design new kind of products. So you have to keep on facing that challenge of innovation, but you mitigate that challenge by having your own R&D resources, as well as partnership with internationally acclaimed R&D houses to design your products.
On the raw material availability and the integration part, how much is in-house now, and what would be the proportion going forward? And sir, one more part is on the finance cost part. That has increased, sir. So what should be the absolute number we should look forward? And thirdly, to it is the lower revenue quarter on quarter, sir. What would attribute to the lower revenue when our plants are running at the optimum levels? If we take the June quarter and the September. Yeah.
But our revenue is not lower quarter to quarter. The revenue in this quarter and the last quarter is almost the same. There is no reduction in revenue strategy.
Sir, it was 1100 crore for the June 21 and it is 1000 crore for September 21. So there is a reduction.
There is a small reduction. That happens because of seasonal impacts also. This is a rainy season. As you know, the rains were very heavy. The turnkey work execution could not happen in many other places because of heavy rains, particularly in North India. Then the semiconductor shortage, that also contributed a small amount to this decrease in revenue. But there is no significant decrease in revenue. It's a very low decrease in revenue, and which is all seasonal minor impacts. In terms of interest cost, it will keep on going down. It has already started coming down. This quarter, it is 10 crore lower than the last quarter. It will further come down because with the decrease in receivables, our borrowing will go down. And in fact, one of the things that I forgot to mention in my opening remarks, our borrowing has gone down considerably. In the June quarter, in the last quarter, previous quarter, quarter one, our total borrowing was 895 crores. Year ending March 31st, 2021, it was 920 crores. Today, now in the current quarter ended, our borrowing is only 683 crores. So there is a considerable reduction in borrowings also. There is a 300 crore reduction in borrowing. That trend may continue also because of the increased receivables. So interest cost is supposed to go down with a decrease in borrowing and also more efficient fund management and better negotiation with the banks in future. Borrowing may go down. So borrowing has gone down as well as interest cost has gone down.
Right, sir. I was just referring to the number.
This is very, very important. There is a 300 crore reduction in borrowing in the current quarter.
Right. So what I was referring to the number of September 20 at 80 crore and September 21 first half at 90 crore. So there is a 10 crore increase over the year when the receivables have also gone down, our cash flows have improved, but still the absolute numbers are up by 10 crore. I stand corrected. So on for a year as a whole, sir, last year it was 175 crore the finance cost, and we have already done 90 crore, paid 90 crore for the first half. So the second half with this improvement in cash flows, we can look forward for a number lower than 175.
Yeah, definitely, Saketji. It will be lower by say 15-20 crore as compared to previous financial year as a year as a whole.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Saket. I'll request you to come back in the question queue for a follow-up question. Thank you. The next question is from the line of Guru from Wood Group. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, you're audible. You may go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Congratulations for posting wonderful figures. And I have a couple of questions. First is regarding the satellite broadband, the internet, which is in trend these days, and some of the Indian telcos also have shown interest in that. So will it pose any risk to the OFC business, or how about that? And second question is BharatNet PPP model. So when can we expect revenue from that?
Look, satellite broadband is being talked about, and it is a good proposition to have, but it is not going to impact fiber optic cable, because satellite broadband would be available only to limited number of people. For example, Starlink has announced that in India they will take only 200,000 subscribers, because satellites have only finite amount of bandwidth which they can give, and it is mostly targeted to rural and inaccessible areas where there is no terrestrial connectivity available, and it's going to be costlier also. So satellite broadband does not pose any threat to terrestrial communication, which includes fiber optic cable also. It will not have any threat on that, because the number of subscribers all put together would not even cross 1 million or so. So it does not pose any threat, any significant or insignificant threat also. So that was your question. What was your second question?
Regarding this BharatNet PPP model.
Sorry.
So the submission.
BharatNet PPP, they've extended the date twice, because there has been some discussion on viability gap funding, whether this is the right number or the number looks to be increased or whatever. So that is under discussion. So I think it will take at least 6 months before BharatNet PPP model is finalized and awarded to people. Yeah, I think it is still 6 months, and then only, and the revenue we can look at it the next financial year only.
Okay, and my last question is regarding the BSNL 4G. I heard that HFCL along with some partner could not continue with that. So some view on that, please.
No, look, it's not a question of we could not continue. We thought that we would be going out for 4G for BharatNet. And we have applied for, that validation. It's still not that we have said that we will not be doing. We have sought this core from CDOT. CDOT has said that we will be able to give you the indigenous core only after December. So we are waiting for that to happen. And whenever that happens, we will go back to BSNL and ask for a trial. And that has been the case with us, L&T and Tech Mahindra, all three of us. Only TCS is continuing, but that also with a limited functionality. They are also not able to meet the entire specification, which we saw yesterday in one of the newspaper reports. The radios are not to the specification. So we, instead of going ahead with the less specification or limited specification, we decided that we should wait and go back to them when our products have the full specification complete.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Dharmesh Kant from AART Ventures. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Congratulations on a very good set of numbers. Sir, can you throw some light on the amount of money which you are raising, around 750 crores? What are the areas in which it will be applied to?
Look, as I said, shareholders and the board has given approval for raising up to 750 crores. But right now we have not finalized how much is to be raised, when it is to be raised. Whenever we finalize and when, we'll come back to you with the applications also.
Okay, sir, got it. So last time in the con call you have given a guidance of around 50 to 20% on the revenue growth. So are we sticking to that for this financial year FY22, or there's some
No, we are sticking to that. There should be around 15% or so revenue growth in the company in the current financial year. We are sticking to that, absolutely.
Yeah, great, sir. And the margins?
6 months results, instead of 1,700 crores, we have been able to do 2,200 crores.
Right. And so margins are likely to stick around? Operating margins of 15.5%?
The margins of what we have done in first 2 quarters, it will continue. And, there shouldn't be any problem in continuing that kind of a margins and the profitability in the next 2 quarters also.
Okay. Sir, that is all from my end. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Hello, Dharmesh. Do you have any follow-up question?
No, I am done with it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Abhijit Mitra from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Yes, thanks for taking my question. So my question is on CapEx. On the first half, I could see that including intangibles, you could spend around 70 crores. What is your full year CapEx guidance and, which are the key projects that you'll be spending on this year? Thank you.
Till now we have announced that we would be doing our 210 crores of capex in the current financial year. And of course, as I've told you, shareholders have approved further fundraising. But if we decide the fundraising and depending upon amount and when, there may be change in these plans depending upon the fundraising, whenever it happens and whenever we decide to do, depending on various options we are weighing. This would definitely has the possibility of change, but right now it is 210 crores in the whole year.
Okay, got it. So the existing 210 crores would be mainly to increase the optical fiber, the FTTH cable and the fiber capacity.
Yeah, it is optical fiber cable and the defense manufacturing.
And the defense manufacturing. And then R&D capex is included in that R&D capex, whatever you have guided for?
R&D capex is not included in that. That is separate to this.
Okay. Got it. Thank you. That's all from my side.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take that as the last question. I will now hand the conference over to the management for closing comments.
Well, thank you very much to all of you for being on this call. And as I have been saying that we decided few strategies for the company, which is new products, new geographies. We are continuing very steadfastly on that. We decided that we would be going into margin accretive products and services. We are on course to do that. We thought of increasing our exports. We are on course to do that. We thought of going for new products, innovation. We are on course of doing that. So whatever strategies we have decided for the company, we are on course and absolutely steadfastly going in that course, and which would continue for next few years, which would see your company having better revenues and better profitability with products which you will be able to sell worldwide. And our projections in terms of financials, which I have been giving in terms of possibilities of revenues and profitability on account of the strategies we have adopted, we are on course of maintaining that. I am sure that with the growth in market opportunity, which is very, very important, with the market opportunities which are there in front of the company, we expect the future operations of the company and also the profitability to maintain this trajectory of growth which we are having at this point of time. Thank you very much to all of you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. On behalf of ICICI Securities, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us. You may now disconnect your lines.